Hi everyone, so we're now on to the seventh video in the critical essays series, and this one is looking specifically at how you put together the analysis section of the main paragraphs. So all main paragraphs, to recap: statement, evidence, analysis, and then comment. The job of the analysis section is going to be to show the marker that you can take elements of the author's use of language and explain the effect of them on the reader. Why has the writer chosen to use a particular word, a particular phrase, a particular structure instead of an alternative? There must be a reason for that, and the reason for it will be found in the effect that they expect it to have, or they hope it to have, on the person reading the poem or story or piece of non-fiction, whatever it happens to be. In order to do this properly in the essays, we'd be looking for you to try and analyse at least two features each time you do a main paragraph. So that means that every quotation that you use, you should try to focus on at least two specific parts on it. So it might be that you look at an example of word choice. So there's one particular word in the quote, you want to look at the effect of that. And so you would name the technique and then focus on the effect of that particular word being chosen. So an example I sometimes give is there's a major difference between somebody being described as having died, been killed, and been murdered. If a writer uses the word murdered as opposed to killed, the connotations of that are different. So we would name it as a technique and say this is word choice, they've used murdered, and then talk about, well, why not use killed? Well, murdered has a different effect on the reader. It makes people think more about violence, more about crime, more about blame, for example, and that may well be relevant for whatever part you were analysing. The thing about the analysis as well is that it doesn't actually change not all that much as you go from essay to essay. So that example of word choice, for example, it doesn't really matter what the argument you're making is. The connotations of murdered compared to killed are always basically the same. So the advantage of that is that if you learn the analysis well and you understand the text really, really well, that a lot of that stuff becomes kind of second nature as we go through the course, and certainly by the time we get to the exam. The thing that's important though, the thing that you need to really practice beyond just the kind of basic understanding of the techniques, being able to name them and say what they do, the real trick is being able to connect the sentences together and make it flow and make it feel like you are, as I keep on saying in these videos, building up an argument. That's really, really, really important. So it needs to not read as if you have just copied out two or three things from your set of notes about that bit of word choice and that metaphor and that bit of sentence structure. It's got to flow. So how might that work? Well, here's an example of a stanza from Visiting Hour, one of the poems that we'll do. There are three main things going on here. There's the repetition of I will not feel. So that's the technique, and the effect of that is it makes it seem as if the person that's speaking is chanting to himself, like he's trying to sort of stay in control, saying it over and over and over again, like a mantra. There's also this technique enjambment, which is to do with the fact that it goes I will not feel, comma, I will not, then takes a new line, feel, comma, until, then takes a new line. It makes it seem very stilted. There's a reason it's not been written I will not feel, comma, new line, I will not feel, because that would make it too kind of normal and make it seem like it was flowing. The way it's been written makes it seem like the person who's speaking and chanting this mantra to themselves is also stuttering over the words as they're going through it, which suggests something about their mental state. It suggests that they're really struggling to cope, that this I will not feel isn't really working. And then you get the line division of I have to at the very end, that given a line on its own. And that puts the emphasis on that as an admission, which tells you that this attempt to stay in control is failing. So three techniques there. All that analysis is what you'd want to put into a paragraph, and this is what that paragraph would look like. So I'm not going to sit here and read it all out to you or anything like that. There's a reason it's a video, but that's an example there, not just of how you would look at a quotation and find your two or three points you want to analyse, but then, as you can see in the paragraph there, connect it all together and make it flow as a paragraph and not read as just a set of notes. Okay, so you can go back and look at that whenever you want. Advice, the notes are absolutely crucial to this. So I'm going to get you as we go through the year to make your own sets of notes and develop them as we go. The making of your own notes is the thing that makes you good at analysis. Okay, just reading a set of notes that I handed out to you, if I did that, doesn't get it to go in, doesn't get you understanding it and able to manipulate the knowledge in your head so that you can then present your arguments and write your essays. You need to work on your own notes. That's what really makes the big difference. And then lots and lots of practice, but not just sitting endlessly writing out essays. There's loads of things you can do to practice. Yes, you should write whole essays. You can write individual paragraphs and just practice those. You can change your notes from one form to another. So take them in a kind of written out bullet pointed form, do a mind map one day of much the same stuff, but transferring it over into a different form might allow you to explore slightly different parts. Make yourself little quizzes and flashcards, so you've got a little card that maybe has a quotation on the front, and on the back it's got 3 or 4 bullet points that you think are the key points you'd want to remember for that quote, and use that as a way to work your way through learning more and more of the text. Even making videos of yourself, basically doing what I'm doing just now. Do it on your phone. Record yourself explaining your way through a whole bunch of the key quotes and see how much you can do and how much depth you can go into and how long you can sustain it for. Because if you can do all of those things and you've got an excellent set of notes, you'll be able to go into the exam, or you'll be able to write your final submissions if you're in the communication classes, and you'll be able to produce work that gets very, very high marks, because it does exactly what the markers are looking for. It proves to them that you understand that language is being used for effects, and that you can take techniques and actually do something with them rather than just rhyme off the notes that your teacher handed out to you. Okay, so if anyone's got any questions, obviously you just get in touch and I'll give you a hand. Don't expect this to just happen straight away or come dead easily. It does take a bit of work, it does take some time, but we'll do plenty of practice on it through the year, and by the end of the year everybody will be able to write excellent essays with brilliant analysis. Okay, thank you very much.